I'm glad the previous speaker has raised the issue of whether legislation is enough. Should it be focusing also on consumer confidence, which can only be upscaled by advocacy in terms of increasing awareness by consumers of the impact of smoking, impact of the novel approaches and so on. I think this is very, very important. I chair the Ministerial Advisory Committee on Mental Health, and so the conflict that exists for me now is whether I should really be speaking on legislation in South Africa for the simple reason that at the moment there is a bill that is going through public hearings, a new bill on tobacco legislation in South Africa. A few weeks ago, there was a closing date for submissions, and we've had many people, including members associated with the SCOHRE, who made some contributions, colleagues from Italy, colleagues from Indonesia, and so on. So 2 provinces now have done public hearings. We have 9 provinces in South Africa. So the bill is going to go through various provinces, and people are invited to make their inputs on what they think about the bill. Now, that is very, very important because the Ministry of Health and the supportive team will not make a decision to gazette before consolidating the comments that have come from the submissions before the public hearings. The public hearings in South Africa are very crucial because they reflect what people think about smoking and various programs associated with it. There's been an evolutionary process in terms of legislation in South Africa. In 1993, the Tobacco Products Control Act 83 of 1993 was passed, which was the primary tobacco control law in South Africa. But then in 2009, the Control of Tobacco Products and Electronic Delivery Systems Bill was introduced, which proposed a ban on smoking in public places, plain packaging, and graphic health warnings on cigarette packaging. Going back to what the previous speaker said, when you bring in legislation, you must have the wherewithal to implement it, to follow up, to indicate to people what measures we take if they break the law. In 2013, the Tobacco Products Control Amendment Act was passed, which introduced new regulations on smoking in public spaces, advertising, and sponsorship. This again shows that you really have to have a strong arm of the law to follow certain things. We still see, as recent as a year or 2 ago, a number of adverts at different times of the day on TV, on smoking and alcohol use and so on. So the country is going through an evolutionary process. So in 2018, when this was introduced, the idea was that there must be a strict follow-up. So like many other countries in the world, you cannot smoke in restaurants, you cannot smoke in government buildings, you cannot smoke in airports, you cannot smoke in the aeroplanes and so on. This test has been carried on very well. In big shopping malls, you cannot smoke. But then there's no one who will take action if you're smoking in the malls. It's very rare. Those things are not easily monitored or followed up. So the proposed legislation has faced opposition from tobacco control because going along with this process, it's looking at whether combustible cigarette should be taxed similarly as the new novel products, e-cigarettes, vaping, and so on. The private companies have argued that if you introduce a substance that improves people's health, you've heard from the ILIA studies presented earlier today, that when people switch from combustible cigarettes to e-cigarettes, vaping, heat-not-burn products, their lung function tended to improve a little better. Cardiovascular programs decreased and so on. But should you therefore be taxing this product similarly? So this is one of the things that are coming up. I'm sure they'll come up even strongly during the public hearings that we're going through in South Africa. So the example that has also pushed government to speed up this review of legislation is that during the peak of COVID-19, there was a total ban on sale of alcohol and cigarette products. But of course, that opened up the whole area of things coming through the black market and lots of taxation. And of course, there was an issue about the taxation aspect, excise duties and so on. We're hoping that the review of legislation will bring up a number of issues. Number one, the understanding that nicotine is addictive, but nicotine itself may not be the most product to worry about in terms of the delivery of nicotine. Most people are not aware of the number of carcinogens you find in combustible cigarettes. Have we educated governments sufficiently on that? Is it important to work hard on the issue of protecting children and others who don't smoke in terms of protecting them from secondary smoking? Now, this is bringing up another contentious issue. For instance, if you are found in a car smoking and there are children in there, you may be arrested instead of just a fine. Now, some people are saying, there must be consideration here. We have to decide on the degree or the measure of punishment, because maybe in a home that is big enough and so on, you might say, I have my windows open, but of course you have a car that's closed, windows are closed, they're smoking, and there are children inside. That might create problems. Sale of cigarettes to minors is coming up. Then you have to define who the minor is. What is the age group, the minimum? Now, I'm not going to tell you what will be the final piece because that's still going through hearings and there's still contributions coming up. I think you can decide because various studies have pointed out that this age delineation has not totally helped. There are many teenagers who smoke. There are many teenagers who are attracted to vaping, e-cigarettes, and so on. The other issue that's going to be considered at the end of the hearings is whether, in fact, use of e-cigarettes, heat-not-burn products, is a gateway to use of combustible cigarettes or a gateway to smoking harder things like marijuana and so on and so on. Now, that gateway theory is being bandied around, but there's no evidence for that. People who would want to smoke marijuana will do so, whether or not they have experienced anything relating to e-vaping and so on. So the hearings are going to be very important to us in terms of, number one, stimulating research. At this stage in South Africa, when you have many mental health conferences, people are very shy to present abstracts looking at the role of cigarettes and so on, the impact it has on health, particularly chronic lung diseases, cardiovascular disease, and so on. But I think government is gradually accepting and understanding that you do need research input. You do need to have independent researchers advising on whether, in fact, we should worry about A, B, or C in terms of tobacco products. Regulation of sale and distribution, it's an important issue. If you move around South Africa, you go to any mall, you'll find cafes that sell, e-cigarettes, heat-not-burn products, and so on. And you talk to the youngsters who sell these things, they don't know what they're selling. They're just there to sell. But people who come and buy, they know what they want to buy. Now, we asked a question last year because a number of webinars from the government side about the problems related to e-cigarettes and so on, or combustible cigarettes. How do you regulate the sale of these products? And they say, well, the answer we were told is that that's a process that they're working on. It's not yet regulated, but they're going to do so. So in short, what I'm trying to say is that we do have a process in South Africa that has started long ago, since 1993, 2009, 2018, and now currently there will be a new gazetted, regulations after the bill has gone through public hearings. And really the summary is that there might be issues relating to prohibition of a sale in certain places. There might be an effort to have more smoke-free areas, smoke-free zones, which would be a very desirable issue to protect people from secondary smoking. The bone of contention at the moment is excise duties, excise taxes. South Africa's tobacco control strategy is based on rapidly increasing excise taxes on tobacco. Those of you who are from Singapore will know that Singapore went that route at some point, a very aggressive approach in terms of excise taxes and so on. It was not very successful, but perhaps if you are from Singapore, you work there, you can give us an idea of what is the position now. There'll be a ban on point of sale marketing and also a ban of cigarette vending machines in various forms. So in short, that is the situation in South Africa. We are not out of the loop in terms of research. In last year's conference, we concluded in the submission we made here that there must be more research at universities, there must be more input from academics, there must be more input from NGOs and those who are concerned about smoking, use of combustible cigarettes, and also the alternative products for delivering nicotine in a cleaner way. I want to thank you for listening, and I'll welcome more questions.